folks, welcome back to Project Motor Racing and what will be race number 2 of our season. The first race cost us $91,000, even though we're in the UK, which is kind of weird, or in Europe, so kind of weird. Our MX-5 is a little battered, so for the next race we're going to Derby. I want to say Derby, but anyway, it's Donington Park, so let's head into the garage. I don't think we have any options particularly in the garage. Nope. So, manage team. Nope. Let's begin the event, shall we? So, only $6,000 to repair the car, which is kind of strange because it cost us $95,000 for the race last time, $91,000 for the race last time, which was kind of confusing. I guess it was maybe travel expenses and stuff, because I assumed that $90,000 was repairing the car. So that kind of does stack up with the comment from one of you last time that economically it's going to be kind of challenging. So, yeah. So, I said last time about tyres. Now, I've been digging in the data. If you're new here, I am a bit of a data nerd. And although we can only select between wet tyres and hard tyres, within the data for this car, mediums and softs are available. So, I'm wondering if there's a way to get to them and how we might get to them. Can we change the... No. But I don't know how we do that. So, we're just going to get driving because I probably need to get plenty of practice in. Actually, what we're first going to do is... get to the traction control. No. And on a crank the traction control and the ABS up a level. See if it helps us out a little bit. I know I'm a noob. I need all the help I can get. Thank you very much. If you watched last time, you will have seen that. Now, I've done a couple of laps of this track, not necessarily intentionally. I've installed the game on my laptop as well, just to see how it runs on that. With reduced settings, actually it runs okay. And I decided I would do some laps of this track because it looked familiar. And then having Googled, it is familiar because I've driven around this track on other games. It's Donington. So, yeah. Not sure why. I guess maybe they haven't licensed the tracks. I don't know. It seems kind of weird that they've got accurate representations of the tracks, but not the actual names. Anyway, yeah, so I have done a few laps of this track in this car. So we'll see how we get on. I was not quick. That won't surprise you if you watched the first video. But yeah, we'll see how we do. The biggest problem for me was corners like this, which are heavy braking events. And yeah, I did try messing around with, on top of the changes that I've made here to traction control, I tried messing around with the brake balance, and it did not go well. Now, that's purely based on the fact that I watch Iri's Rory Alexander, Gran Turismo 7 streamer, and for some reason he always seems to throw his brake bias to the back in most of the cars that he's driving. Now, they're a very different kind of car to this, and so I thought I'll give it a try, and it really didn't do me any favors. Jumped on the brakes for this corner and was sliding backwards into the grass. Now, yes, I'm quite often sliding backwards into the grass from the first race that we've seen, but, you know, it wasn't pretty at all. So, yeah. I do, this track does feel somewhat familiar from, would you believe, playing games like TOCA Touring Car back on, I want to say, my early days of PC gaming. But it may have been PlayStation. It was a very long time ago. I know that. I think it was early days of PC gaming though. It was a point where I actually had a wheel. And I think it's kind of that classic story of sometimes how you end up with a wheel. My friend had a wheel. And upon moving in with his now and a long time now wife, she didn't want him having a wheel in the house. Or they didn't have, let's say they didn't have space for a wheel. Let's go with that. And so I inherited a wheel. Now I've got rid of it since from moving a few times and that kind of thing. But yeah. And I loved that touring car game. It was very arcadey to drive. Very, you know, a bit of contact wasn't a problem, which is really not the thing we want to be doing in here because of paying for car repairs and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's given me a little bit of a feel for knowing my way around this track. He says when he's 7 seconds off the pace. So we've got a bit of work to do. But we'll get there. I think we'll try and get one more lap in. If we can. And then I'll go into qualifying. We'll see how we get on there. And then into the race. So, yeah. I have been... So if you're new here, I am a little bit of a person who likes to tinker with games from my farm sim background, and I spent a little bit of time looking at how the game files are structured. The game uses Giant's engine, and a lot of it is very much based on how farm sim is set up. The vehicles are configured very differently, obviously, because the vehicles are much more the core of the game. There's a lot more information as to what makes up a vehicle compared to a farm sim vehicle. There's a lot more about, you know, there are different files for engine and suspension and all that kind of thing. And I've downloaded a mod for a vehicle. There are mods available already from Straight 4. And then started to see if I could take the files for this car, the MX-5, and make a new version of it, because I was kind of curious. And I've got halfway of getting it in the game. Just for fun, you know. Just to see if we could. We've gained some time back. Right. Let's move on to qualifying, shall we? So... get to quali, see how we can do. I find until I crash, I tend to do a bit better. And I'm using obviously the default settings for the vehicle. All the vehicles come with default setups loaded. I tend to do a bit better with a little bit of traffic. So, but let's get out on track. And actually, something I did want to do. I was going to settings, and I think it's under preferences, and change that to miles per hour because that's something I prefer. Sorry, sir. Oh well. Yep. Hammer down. And let's see if we can hang on to the car in front, which we don't seem to be able to. Let's see if we can be less of a rolling chicane. Now, I am using the auto gearbox, and I'm probably going to be for a little while because I need to get used to everything else. Yeah. Now, you do have different options for the auto gearbox from what I've looked at. You can have you can have fully manual. You can have fully manual with a clutch, obviously, because it's a sim. You can have I've lost it. You can have auto. Car is either auto up or auto down shifts, and then fully auto. So I'm running fully auto, obviously, because I suck, and for me, just keeping the car on the track is the goal. And I'm really hoping that at some point someone has a really good tutorial for setting up a controller, because although I'm doing okay, I, as I've said, am not a sim racing expert, and I don't really know what all of the different options for adjusting the controls are. And I think if I was in a car that was a bit more, not necessarily competitive, but aggressive, things like the throttle and brake would be a real nightmare. So, because they're kind of digital. So, and that's partly why I've turned up the traction control and the ABS to help with that. Now, it is going to be taking power away from the car. If you've got heavy traction control on, you're not going to be quite as quick. But equally, if I can keep the car going with how it's set up, it's got to be better. So yeah, kind of my view. We'll see how we get on. All I can do, and as a reminder, if you didn't watch the first video, I am not a sim racer. I'm a farm sim player, and if that wasn't obvious already, I'm playing on controller. And so, if you're wanting something different to that, go watch one of the other folks who's got early access and is going to be churning out loads of content. I'm giving you the view of, I'm literally sat in an armchair with a controller playing the game. So if that's the view you want of how the game is, that's what I can give you. I am not in a sim rig doing all of that stuff. There are other people doing that. Go watch them if that's what you want. No? It is meant to be a full-on sim. I'm just trying to play it in a way that suits how I like to play games. Nice. Okay, we've gained a lot of time. So, if we can be consistent, we can maybe be competitive, is what that's showing. The problem is, can I be consistent? So let's see if I can string together a couple of laps, and then we'll call it and get in the race. So, because that would be good. I'm hoping to not. I don't think we need to use the full 5 minutes because we've put in a decent time. That is not a good corner. But yeah, being slightly easier on the throttle is helping get me out of the corners. So that is definitely a thing. And if I can, I don't want to wind in more traction control. got enough traction control, I think. The guy behind me is being a bit of a pain, and I can see someone's caught up with him as well, so we might, we've dropped to second already. So maybe dropping down the list a fair bit, but I'm still happy that we've put in a much better time to what we did last time. Seventh, and it's not awful still. It's not awful still. So I am going to call it there. If you watch my start, quality really doesn't matter. So yeah, if we can hang on to 7th, even top 10, I'd be pretty happy. So that's pretty good. Considering where we were in practice, I'm pretty happy with that. So let's jump into the race, shall we? See how we get on. I am awful at starting. So, yep, just is what it is. But if we can get away and not lose too much, particularly in this first corner, I'll be happy. I've not watched anyone else play the game yet, so that probably would be interesting, see how others are getting on. I know a few other, quite a lot of other Farm Sim creators. Actually, I have watched someone. Watched another one of the Farm Sim guys playing. Quite a few Farm Sim creators obviously have got the game, being the Giants partners. So we are not doing well. Yeah. Typical start for me. Right. I just need to be more chill at the start. Let's see if we can work our way back. And yeah. Oh well. It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. We will get better at this. We will get better. Because I'm enjoying playing it. I don't care. So it's not a game that feels like it's going to be impossibly difficult to master. Playing on a controller. And that's nice. Things like Assetto Corsa and iRacing felt to me like I would never be able to do well on a controller. And I did dig my wheel out for those, and I just could not get on with them at all. Not at all. And I mean, this almost makes me want to get the wheel out. I'm having so much fun on the controller that it's, yeah, it does make it feel like it's a game that I could get stuck into and have fun. So that is good. Whereas things like the iRacing in Assetto Corsa felt like they were something that would require a lot more to get so that I could enjoy them, and they never actually, it felt like I would never be able to pick those up after a day at work and play the game. And that's what I'm doing. I've done a day at work and I'm enjoying myself, and that's what I want from the game. You might want something different, but if you do, you can crank all the difficulty up, turn all the driving aids off, and I'm sure that's what you get from this. But It's not what I want. You know, I want to have fun and chill out. And yes, I suck. I don't care. We will learn, we will get better. And that's going to be what it'll be. And we're losing time, which is a little bit frustrating. It's more that this is where if I could get the sensitivity on the throttle right, I think it would be better. Because getting out of corners is tricky. And I did consider being a little bit sneaky and editing the default tyre choice from hard to soft. But I'm not sure if that would give the AI drivers the same benefit. So I'd be making it harder for me anyway. So, yeah. It's kind of frustrating that it's locked to the hards when mediums and softs are available. Now, I'm pretty rough on the tyre, so maybe that's a good thing. With all of my agricultural excursions and locking the tyres up and all that kind of thing. I don't know. I do not know. I am far from a racing driver, as is pretty darn obvious. But cannot get the power down. The traction controls dropped down. That could be why. The traction controls reset itself. And the ABS. Okay, can we... Yeah, I've at least got the ABS up. Right, there's the traction control turned up. This is where I find that I can now throw in a stonkingly fast lap. And do a ton better. Maybe. That's annoying that it reset itself. Maybe I need to update the setup for the car in the pits so that it's kind of saved. That might do it. I don't know. So that's really annoying. If suddenly we're a lot quicker, I'm going to be really annoyed. That would be very frustrating if that was down to me not noticing that. That would be my error, but you know. Let's flick through the screens and see how we come out on lap time. Our best lap so far is a 1:56. We can at least get out of the corner. So yeah. That definitely hurts. It definitely hurts. This is going to be a 150. Yeah. Oh, so annoying. So annoying. Oh well. Let's see what the financial damage is. So we've got $4,000 for our position for the race. Again. Because we came last again. No, we didn't come last time. $100,000 worth of expenses. Look at the state of the car again. Oh well. I wonder if we'll make it to the end of the season or not. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, folks. I hope you found that entertaining or not. Yes, I'm an awful driver. Thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. And I'll see you next time, guys.